Shadowhunters SteleCast. The clan is listening.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 43 of Shadowhunters SteleCast. Countdown to City of Heavenly Fire, Part 5, City of Lost Souls. And I have all my party stuff on.
Which you can't see.
If I show up. There we go. All my party stuff. Because we are within 1 week of City of Heavenly Fire.
Woohoo!
That is
less than 1 week. 6 days.
Yes. That's insane.
6 days!
Alright, so we, as normal, have a lot to discuss today, so we are going to somewhat dive in with announcements. I'm keeping it over here. Oh, by the way, I'm Ellie. Hi. And I'm joined by co-host Natasha. Hi, Natasha.
Hello. Sorry for eating.
And I feel like I've been forgetting to say that you can always follow along with hashtag ShadowHuntersSC on Twitter. And even if you're listening in future time, which today is May 21st, it is 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
6 p.m. Pacific.
Yes. So even if you're listening in future time, tweet along, let us know what you're listening to us talk about, and maybe we can still respond and chat with you, because we totally should. Alright. Do you have any quick things to say, Natasha?
6 days.
Yeah. Crazy.
6 days! Six! Oh, my Cheeto finger. 6 days! That's it. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Alright. Sounds about right. Alright.
Oh, no, wrong one. I was listening.
There we go. Okay. So. I just lost my place. Okay. Let's get into some announcements. So, first up, alright, so these TMI Tuesdays have been going on for the past several weeks now. And we have 2 to discuss this week, and they're big ones. First up, last week, we got half of the prologue for City of Heavenly Fire. And what's interesting, we don't know if it was like, I mean, it didn't seem like it's where the book started. So I don't think it was like the official first half of the prologue, but I also don't think it was the end of the prologue. I think it was somewhere in the middle. Anyway, so, okay, I'm going to send the link to TMI Tuesdays, and the most recent one is what I'm talking about. And it's pretty long. It's the whole half of the prologue. It talks about, we get our introduction. Oh, wait, it was the first half. I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind. I'm confusing 2 different things. Yes, it was the very beginning of the prologue. It was. Okay. And we get our first look at Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne and a whole bunch of other Blackthorns, which of course will be the focus of another series that Cassandra Clare is going to write in the future. Do you have any thoughts that you would like to discuss quickly, Natasha?
In regards to the prologue?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, it's a really good prologue. I know that much. I really enjoyed, seeing the Blackthorns as kids, or I guess younger kids, And and you're also able to already like kind of tell like the characteristics and the traits of a few of them, including Mark, and especially Tiberius, which you cannot help but like love. And I love his special traits that Cassie had actually. I don't know if you read that, but Cassie had actually touched upon it in response to somebody's question about Tiberius being somewhat of the autistic spectrum, which I think is really cool that she has that ability to write about it, because she does have like I think it was a stepbrother or half brother that has autism or is in the autistic spectrum of it, and so she wrote Tiberius for that reason. And he's just so cool. He's just so like a human. People can relate to him, especially those in the autistic spectrum. And I love that she brought in a new type of diversity to her many diverse characters. So I'm really looking forward to reading more about him, because he definitely apparently plays a really big part in the series. So I'm looking forward to that. And of course I'm looking forward to Mark, because that's Mark, I don't know what it is about Mark that I just think is so beautiful. Maybe it's that fairy blood, but who knows. And of course, Jules and Emma, just being Jules and Emma, and I just love that you already get to see a lot of them, and it's frightening to see though what happens, because it is in a prologue, and Emma actually gets to see Valentine and stuff, and it's not a good thing for them. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree. I also really liked the relationship between Julian and Mark. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you want to mark on me, Mark?
Such a weird name for a shadow hunter. Mark. No, and I did want to just point out that this pretty much confirms that the message that they're getting at the beginning of the first chapter that we read is about Sebastian going to the Institute and causing complete havoc, to put it simply. But yeah, so if you have not checked that out yet, definitely do it. Although, if you wait 6 days, you can just read it for real. But yeah.
You can wait that long. You gotta read something.
That's true. Alright, let's move on. So that was last week. Yesterday, we got an audio snippet, and we don't know where this one comes in, when it comes in, rather. But we know it takes place in Idris, and specifically at Amethyst's house, which we know Clary spent quite a bit of time at in City of Glass. And she had some struggles with being back there after what happened to Amethyst at the end of Lost Souls, which we will be discussing tonight. Do you have any thoughts on the audio?
I don't. I find it kind of interesting. I have not read any of or not listened to any of the audiobooks for the Mortal Instruments, so I don't know actually who the narrator is, if it's mostly female. I'm assuming it is, but I'm not sure. But for the fact that, it's Sophie Turner, I just find it a little funny that it's Sophie Turner, considering that she plays Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones. So every time I hear her voice, I'm thinking Sansa. But aside from that, it sounds fine. I can't remember what exactly was. I just listened to it, 2 days ago? No, yesterday, right? This came out yesterday. But yeah, it's, to me, everything, it's just all exciting, and it did remind me of the fact of what happened to Amethyst. It's like, what? That's right.
Which I thought I remembered her dying, but apparently she didn't.
Apparently not, because no, she doesn't. And we'll go through that in a bit.
Right. Very true. Alright. Let's keep going.
Yes.
Get into this. Would you like to do our next bit of news?
Sure, so we have a book trailer. And if you haven't seen the book trailer, just type in on YouTube City of Heavenly Fire book trailer. Or you can click on the link that Ellie will hopefully post on Twitter. But yes, it's a book trailer
Right now.
for City of Heavenly Fire. You know, it doesn't really tell much. It's like a 30 seconds long. It is the same actors that have played the characters in the other book trailers, so don't be fooled. They are the same Jace, Clary, and Sebastian. Some people have already talked to or asked Cassie, you know, why the guy that plays Jace, why his hair is not blonde, and of course it has to do with film. It has to do with just the video, the digital, and probably the lighting, but it is the same Jace. And he is blonde. It just doesn't look like it. But he is. He's certainly not black-haired, and he's certainly not brown-haired. He's blonde. So, but yeah, just, you know, just another teaser fodder for us Shadowhunter fans waiting, anticipating for the book to be released. So check it out. And that's that.
Yep. Alright, so next up, we have a lot of Cassandra Jean art again. Most of it we're just not going to talk about that much because we have a long episode tonight. But there's more of the flower pictures where she kind of gives meaning with all of the different flowers for different characters. So definitely, if you're following her on Tumblr or Cassandra Clare on Tumblr, check those out. They are pretty cool. I do want to talk a little bit about the two that were posted a few days ago, or like a week ago. One of them has Maya and Jordan standing over a bunch of ruins.
I'm gonna put that up.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna put it up here.
Okay. So yeah, it has them standing over a bunch of ruins and looking sad. I don't know. I saw this and my heart like dropped.
Yeah. When I first looked at it, I was like, oh, they look sad, and then I looked at it again the second time, and I realized what was surrounding them, and
right.
It made me even more sad.
Oh, those are.
And I think that I just freaked out Ellie because now she just realized what was surrounding them.
Those are wolves. Oh my
God. Yeah, it just makes me more sad. And it all of a sudden just made me more fearful. Yeah, it made me more fearful for Jordan and Maya because they are minor characters. But the thing is that their romance, their relationship just got rekindled, and I would love for them to just, you know, survive this. But
yeah.
You know,
they're at least alive whenever this picture takes place.
What?
They're at least alive whenever this picture takes place.
Yeah, so it could be the beginning, or it could be the end. Who knows?
Yeah. Or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. True, it can be.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In the same post from Cassandra Clare, there was also a picture of Sebastian stabbing Jace. So that was a fun one too, and yeah, Natasha has that up. And of course you can see the Heavenly Fire, which I'm wondering if that's how he gets rid of his Heavenly Fire. I'm thinking yes. That's intense, though. Especially look at Sebastian's face in that picture.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I don't know.
Evil.
He
Evil,
looks
evil.
kind of like determined to kill Jace. Yet again.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that one. Not much to say for that one, except just like, ouch.
Yeah.
And then there's one of Luke reaching out to Amethyst, and Amethyst is wearing red.
Yes.
In
red.
that picture. What does red represent in the Shadowhunter world again?
Well, it says to call enchantment down, but it is it represents the dark Nephilim, basically. Valentine's army. Or not Valentine's.
She's
Sebastian's
not
army.
receptive. I'm sad.
So yes, in this one it seems like she is still an endarkened one.
Yeah, the question is if you can come back from that once it happens. We don't know. We'll probably find out next week.
We will.
Alright, and another picture, we have Jace and his fire.
Yes.
I don't have that much to say about that one. Do you have much to say about that one?
No, he just has fire. He's in his heavenly fire.
Yeah.
And it's burning all around.
I'm assuming this is before the other picture that we just saw of Jason Sebastian. But that's just an assumption. And then finally, the one I really want to talk about. Okay.
If you really want to talk about it.
This last picture is Alec holding an unconscious Izzy. And I'm using the word unconscious on purpose because she looks dead.
Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't want to say that she's dead. I'm sorry, Gabby is not leaving me alone right now. So, okay, here's my thing. This
What's
picture,
your thing?
well, the fact that this picture came out makes me actually less worried about Izzy. I'm like, if that was like a real important spoiler, I don't think Cassie would have let it come out. But then I second guessed myself, and I'm like, well, maybe she knew that we would figure that out, so it is a really big spoiler.
That reminds me of a Friends episode so badly. Well, maybe they know that we know that they know.
Yes, exactly. I like that I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Who doesn't?
But yes, this picture. So obviously she's not in good shape there. The question is if she's dead. Which I don't think.
Alec's face. It's so tormented. I hate it.
I know. But it would be if she was like knocked unconscious too.
I guess.
Like he would totally have that look if she was knocked unconscious.
Because he's always tormented.
Yeah.
Anybody who he loves that is hurt, he'll be tormented.
This picture is tormenting me.
Yeah.
But
I mean, at least it doesn't show any blood, so that's a good thing.
yeah, I was just looking at that, but does it need to? Maybe they went to the Silent Brothers, and the Silent Brothers overwhelmed her, and that's why she's unconscious. It has nothing to do with anything physical.
You can just keep on thinking that.
Well, I cannot believe we're down to a week.
6 days.
That's insanity to me. We are 6 days away from finding out everything about the end of the Morlings.
Oh my god.
Okay. Anyway, when I say it like that, I get sad.
Let's move on, shall we?
Yes. Okay. That's it for Cassandra Jean stuff.
Yeah. So, Cassie had blogged on her Tumblr a snippet. Of course, now this one is an unidentified snippet, which means that it could be from any book. Considering it's from Simon, I'm going to say that it's it is a part of City of Heavenly Fire, or during that time frame. And of course, especially considering what he's talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and read it real fast. It says, "Hi, Magnus. It's Simon. You know me. Well, you called me Shomes last time we spoke, but we hung out. I'm calling to, sorry if this is out of line, suggest that you maybe take Alec back. I think it would be good for morale. Honestly, Alec was really horrible to Clary when they first met, and if he turns all cranky again, I don't know what Clary's going to do. In those days, Clary had way fewer weapons and way fewer brothers. This time it's different. Her boyfriend is on fire. She's got enough problems. I guess what I'm saying is that we'd all appreciate it if you took one for the team. Not that I'm part of a Shadowhunter team. Shadowhunters don't let vampires join the team. This message probably seems selfish and also crazy. I honestly do feel bad for Alec. He's a good guy, much less annoying than Jace. I've always felt like given the opportunity, we could be friends. Maybe bros. Maybe we could be bros who shoot arrows together. It may at this point be obvious that Isabel forced me to make this phone call. End scene. So that is your snippet. Which I'm like, what kind of? I'm like, you know what's weird is that I can imagine how many kinds of weird messages Magnus is getting from all of them. He's getting hang-up calls from Alec. He's getting Isabel calls, like, straightforward, like, you better get back together, you know, whatever. And then she's getting phone calls from Simon, who he can't even remember his name, or refuses to remember his name, or refuses to call him by his name. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if they got Church to go meow, you know, on the phone or something. And just like, you know, I don't know. Like, Magnus, come on now. Take one for the team.
Get like Robert to call.
Oh, gosh. That would be kind of...
Take one for the team. Getting back together with Alec is totally taking one.
I know. Take one for the team. Yeah. That is hilarious. I mean, it's cool that it's an unidentified snippet, but of course, kind of seems like it's in that time frame, of course, you know. But I just don't know where along, you know, the book this time, you know, this message that Simon had called Magnus on would have been. So interesting. I'm thinking that it might not even be in the book. It's something off of the side, you know, like off of, like, you know, her side, little mini side stories.
Yeah, I was just thinking, the Bane Chronicles. What was the last Bane Chronicles story? The one that hasn't actually come out yet is going to be like a bonus one. What was that about?
Oh, I can't remember.
Now I'm wondering if it was from that.
Maybe.
We'll find out eventually. Well, we'll find out in about a week if it's in City of Heavenly Fire, at least.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm obsessed with the fact that we're a week away. All right. Are we ready? Or do you have any more announcements?
No, that is it. I am so ready to go over this because I'll tell you something. It was harder for me to remember what happened in City of Lost Souls than it was for me to remember what happened in City of Glass. And
Yeah,
considering
definitely.
that this is the book that takes place before City of Heavenly Fire, it's definitely good to recap this. So I'm excited. Let's do this. Let's go.
Yeah, like just like reviewing some of this, I was like, oh, yeah, that happened. That's probably important. Probably good to know. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do this. Would you like to start?
Sure. I will go ahead and start. And we are going to go fast because I'm going to try to get us out of here within an hour, okay? Because I know that you guys can't stand seeing our faces all that long. Let's see here. So, City of Lost Souls. It comes with a prologue. And in the prologue, it's Simon who, Simon's mom, actually, she remembers now again that Simon is a vampire. And she has all kinds of, religious stuff written down and everything, and she warns Simon to stay away from them. But then he's like, who have you told? Have you told Rebecca? And his mom says, stay away from Rebecca. Rebecca is the older sister of Simon. And then also this takes place like right after the events of City of Fallen Angels, because Clary calls him and tells him that Jace and Sebastian are missing. And that is the prologue. And I'll go ahead.
Is this the first book with a prologue?
Huh?
Is this the first book with a prologue?
I believe so. I believe this is the first book with a prologue. I think, if I remember correctly. I don't think there was the prologue in any of the others. So this one, the last or the fifth one of the series, has a prologue in it. What do you know?
All right. Part 1.
Oh, you want to go ahead with that?
Sure. Part 1 is called No Evil Angel. So chapter 1 is called The Last Council. So it's now 2 weeks later since City of Fallen Angels, when, if you last remember, Sebastian kind of took Jace and ran away with him, basically. So it's now 2 weeks later. Oh, wait. Yeah. So, and Jace is still missing. The council had been in deliberation over not only Jace and Sebastian missing, but also Clary's part in Jace's resurrection, which of course caused drama. And Clary has now been cleared by the Clave of any wrongdoing regarding her bringing Jace back to life. If you remember, Valentine killed Jace, and then Clary finished the little circle and got one wish, and wished for Jace to come back. So the search for Jace and Sebastian is now top priority, is no longer top priority. Because,
no longer.
sorry, losing my mind. Is no longer top priority because of some other things that have come up with the Clave, including the wards going down in a bunch of institutes. We also meet Aileen Penhallow's girlfriend, Helen Blackthorn. Yeah. So she has pointed ears, blonde hair, and blue-green eyes.
Sorry.
That was a little delayed.
I know it was.
And we find out that she's part fairy. We also find out that she is the second oldest of 8 children, although 7, really. But who we now know are the Blackthorns, and we will get to know so much better. We also find out that Robert Lightwood has put his name in for the position of Inquisitor, who, if you remember, the old Inquisitor died back in Book 2. Which wasn't that long ago, actually.
Oh, that's true. I'm like, it's been a long time, but no, it hasn't.
Right, in book time it's been like a couple months.
In our time, it's been like 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. And we also meet Jules Blackthorn.
Julia! Yay!
Helen's brother.
A little delayed again.
At this point, he is 12 years old, also has blue-green eyes, but brown hair. And we first see him with his hands covered in blue wax. You're up.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, blue wax kid is playing with a wax. Hey, I did it too when I was a kid. Every time I saw.
Who did it?
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Chapter 2, Thorns. And you know that Clary had a bell, and that was to ring up the Seelie Queen. So Clary decides to go ahead and see the Seelie Queen. And Izzy and Alec and Simon join her. So during the meeting, Alec and Simon are kind of joking around and stuff like that, and it kind of irks the Queen, and she turns Alec, like briefly, like maybe 30 seconds, into an old version of Alec, and it freaks him out a little bit. Clary has to apologize for their behavior. They want to ask help finding Jace, but the Queen has favor to ask, of course. So she wants them to return a set of fairy rings that are on display in the Institute. And she claims that it allows the fairies to speak mind to mind with each other. So they agree to do that. And so they agree to do that. At Magnus's apartment, Alec goes in because he has his own key now. Alec explains what happened with the Seelie Queen and about Camille. Alec wonders, Magnus pulls out a snuff box that has WS on it, and he's wondering who this WS is. At Luke's place, Simon and Clary talk about Jocelyn blaming herself for Sebastian because she's still like crying over the whole idea of Sebastian. Clary blaming herself for Jace. Jordan wanting Simon to connect with his inner vampire, which you should read that because it's pretty funny. And then Simon's concerns about having any dealings with the fairies. And that is chapter 2.
I do just want to point out really quickly that this one really sets up Alec's storyline for the book between like mortality and jealousy.
That's why I had to mention that because it's a small brief moment, but it definitely becomes somewhat of a catalyst. Well, actually, the catalyst happened in the last book, but this just adds more to it.
Yeah. All right, chapter 3 is called Bad Angels. At Jordan's apartment, Simon finds Jordan and Maya there, and they talk to him about his family situation, and he discovers that Rebecca, his older sister who's in college, has actually been trying to get a hold of him. Simon admits that he's been avoiding her and not wanting her to find out about him, being a vampire, no big deal. But he finally gives in and tells them that he will, in fact, text her. Jordan later asks Maya if she wants to patrol with him that night. She hesitates, but agrees before leaving with Simon to go to the subway. Meanwhile, at the Institute, nobody else is there, so Clary decides, perfect time to sneak into the library and search for these rings that the Seelie Queen needs. So she ends up finding them next to some clockwork angels in the display.
I just have to put that in there.
So as she finds these rings, and she's like, "Yay, the Seelie Queen can help me now." Oh, Jason and Sebastian are suddenly there. she notices that there's nothing...
Oh.
Really?
Sorry.
That was so not a joke.
I meant that one.
So she realizes that there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with Jace. Like, he's not being held against his will. He's not injured in any way. And he and Sebastian are actually talking with each other like old friends. And Jace actually finds a summoning book that Sebastian had needed. And then after finding the book, they disappear from the Institute. And the next morning, Alec is in a bad mood when he wakes up, and we find out that WS means Woolsey Scott, which, of course, only makes Alec more angry and frustrated and jealous about Magnus not being open about his long, long, long past. So he leaves to go meet up with Izzy and the rest of the gang, but he's approached by someone who tells him that Camille Belcourt has a message for him. Bum, bum, bum. At the park, there we go. Izzy and Simon are the first to arrive, and Rebecca, Simon's sister, texts Simon once again. Izzy tells him that he needs to talk to her, and she might be more understanding than his mom. Boy, is this. Sorry. Simple homosexuality, yeah. So his sister is more understanding than his mom.
Coming out to your parents.
Yes, coming out as a vampire.
Your sister.
Alec then arrives, and then Clary comes through a portal, and she is in tears.
Oh. All right. Now we continue to Chapter 4, Immortality. So, continuing from the last chapter, Clary explains to them what she saw about Jason, Sebastian, and Jason's state of mind, that he doesn't seem to be brainwashed or controlled against his will, but, they are talking and stuff. Since Clary claims that she didn't get the rings, they decide not to meet with the Seelie Queen, even though that could be in trouble later on. They know that they can't tell anybody in the clave about Jace and Sebastian, because just the fact that Jace is with Sebastian and not trying to kill him, that means that they're in cohorts, and so they might kill Jace on sight. So they agreed to meet at Magnus's the next morning to figure out what to do. So that later on that day, Alec decides to meet with Camille and asks Camille about making him immortal so that he and Magnus could be together forever, just like she said that she could do in the last book. She wants something in return, though. She wants something in return. But he refuses, and then they fight. They actually have like some kind of like cat fight type of thing. They finally reach a spot where there's sunlight, and so he uses that against her, and she relents. She tells him there's no way for him to be immortal aside from like turning him into a vampire or using black magic. But there is a way to take Magnus's immortality. What? So Clary asks her mom, wherever Clary is, I forget. She asks her mom about the protection ceremony, and Jocelyn tells her that Magnus did convince her to have it performed on Clary when she was a kid, and they had a silent brother and a female warlock in place of an iron sister do the ceremony. Interesting. Clary creates another new rune, but we don't know what it's for yet. And at the shipyards, Jordan and Maya are searching for I don't know what exactly. They start talking, and Jordan offers to give her the savings that he has, that he's compiled, if she wants to go to college, because he remembers she wanted to go to college before. He tells her that he never stops searching for her, and then they kiss, and he tells her that he loves her. But then she remembers. But then she remembers what he said after he bit her. You're mine. You'll always be mine. And it kind of like makes her stop, and she stops the kiss, and she just says that she can't take his offers, and she leaves.
All right. I'm sorry. Chapter 5, Valentine's Son. So Clary has a dream of Sebastian with black wings and Jace with white gold wings, which this is not the first time that she's had this type of dream, by the way, just for the record. And when she wakes up, Jace is there lying in the bed next to her. Which is kind of awkward, by the way. What was that?
He just enters.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, he didn't ring the doorbell. He was just there. He wants to know if she still loves him, which of course she does. She's Clary and he's Jace. They kiss. Then, of course, they get interrupted by none other than Sebastian. Jace and Sebastian once again act like they're besties. Jace asks to have 5 more minutes with Clary, and Sebastian leaves. Because, you know, they're buds. Clary is both angry and confused. Jace is being very flippant about the whole thing. You know, like, everyone worrying about him, looking for him, not understanding why he's, you know, hanging out with Sebastian. And Clary decides that she wants him to leave. He, however, asks her to come with him and Sebastian and promises that he will explain absolutely everything to her. He tells her that he and Sebastian are now bound, but she doesn't really understand what that means. She tries to remind him of all the different things that Sebastian has done, including killing Max, who's like a little brother to Jace.
Hello!
Yeah. So Jace hears it and, like, responds to it, but says, like, oh, it was an accident. He didn't mean to. You know, he's cool. He tells her that Sebastian is serving a greater cause. That sounds familiar. And, yeah, and Clary is beside herself and absolutely cannot believe that Jace is siding with Sebastian on anything. Jace asks once again if Clary loves him, but she says that she loves Jace Lightwood, and she doesn't know who this person is. I love that. Jocelyn wakes up to find Sebastian in the house, and they have a huge fight while Clary and Jace stand watching. Jocelyn strikes Sebastian with, I can't pronounce that word.
I think it's a Kinjal.
Kinjal?
Yeah.
And it also injures Jace, where Sebastian is injured. So after seeing that, Clary now understands what Jace meant by them being bound, and realizes that if Sebastian is killed, which is kind of part of the plan, then Jace will also be killed. Yeah. Luke comes and gets in on the action, attempting to shoot Sebastian, but Clary stops him, realizing, like, so, yeah, I don't want Jace to die. But then Sebastian stabs Luke with a silver dagger. Werewolf silver dagger, not good. Luke collapses, and Jace pulls Sebastian away before he does anything else. And then they disappear. Jocelyn calls Luke's pack and tells Clary that they're leaving the house and they will never be coming back.
Chapter
So
6.
basically, in other words, drama-rama.
Drama all around. Chapter 6. No weapon in this world. So, Luke's pack take him back to the abandoned police station. That is the pack's domain. And unfortunately, Clary and Jace are not really welcome because they're not part of the pack. So they go to Magnus's apartment. And then, because they think that if they stay even at the police station, that's probably where Jace is going to live. They find out that the dagger that was used to stab Luke is actually not silver, but it's made of demon metal. So Magnus has to contact the Praetor Praetor Lupus to see if he can help get the piece of metal taken out of Luke, because it's like a tip that's stuck in him. Alec arrives, and Clary tells him that Jace is definitely not himself, and they kind of like try and speculate what it is, why Jace is acting the way he is. And it's like a party at Magnus's place again, because Brother Zachariah arrives to help them find and save Jace, which he tells them is more important to him than his fealty to the Clave. Wow, that is some mighty strong words for a silent brother. Brother Zachariah also explains the bond was probably due to Lilith's plan in City of Fallen Angels, and that Jace and Sebastian are bound as one, and though Jace is not possessed, he believes all that Sebastian believes, as if it were his own beliefs. And Brother Zachariah says that Clary is still the central point in Jace's mind, though. So that's kind of cool. Jocelyn then suggests seeing the Iron Sisters for a weapon to use against them, to use against Sebastian without harming Jace. And she says that she'll take Isabel, not Clary. Of course, Clary gets into a huge argument with her mom, and at the final point of that, Jocelyn yells at Clary, saying that her and Jace were not meant to be together. Too many bad things happen, and everybody else is watching while this is happening. Awkward. At the Greenwich Hotel, Raphael offers Simon a bodyguard position so that Raphael can protect himself from Camille and her followers. Of course, Simon says no, that's okay. And that's that. At Magnus's again, Clary texts Simon to meet her at Taki's because, of course, Clary's mad at everybody, and then portals herself out of the apartment. So they think that Clary's still in her room, but she portals herself out. Late that night, Izzy arrives at Jordan's place looking for Simon, or she's kind of drunk too, and she's looking for Simon, but Jordan tells her that Simon is probably with Clary, and she tells Jordan that she really likes Simon. Of course, Jordan's like, maybe I should tell him, talk to him. Of course, in her drunk stage, she plans to go to Luke's to talk to Simon and tell him how she feels, but then she passes out, as a drunk person would.
I have one question.
Yes.
And I assume that I know the answer already. But how come Sebastian's thoughts were like pressed onto Jace and not the other way around?
He is the dominant.
Well, that's annoying. Alright, chapter 7 is called A Sea Change. So Simon meets up with Clary at Taki's, and she tells him what happened at Luke's. Whoa, sorry, dog got in the way. She tells him what happened at Luke's. Okay, so Clary reveals to him that she actually does have the fairy rings, even though she lied and said that she didn't. Mm-hmm. And they test them out to see if they work, which they do. She goes on to explain her plan that she is going to go with Jason Sebastian after all. Meanwhile, she will be using the rings to communicate with Simon, and then he can tell everybody else what's going on. And that way, they can track them down and kind of try to fix everything, although there's no plan to actually figure out how to separate Jace and Sebastian yet, but this way Clary can kind of spy on them. Sebastian initially refuses to go along with the plan.
Simon.
I said Sebastian, didn't I? Simon initially refuses to go along with the plan, but Clary says that, you know what, I'm going to do this with or without your help. And so he agrees. Back at Jordan's, it is now 4 a.m., and Maya says, tells both him
Maya
and
arrives there, but yeah, she arrives there, and
what?
she actually arrives there
at the 4 a.m.
Yeah.
So Maya arrives and tells Jordan and a now sober Isabel what happened at Luke's. She tells them that Magnus wants Jordan to contact the Praetor Lupus for info to help save Luke. And then Jordan says they will have to go in person to the Praetor Lupus. Maya will go with him to Long Island, and Izzy only wants to see Alec. Once Izzy goes to Magnus's apartment, Alec tells her that they need to go with Jocelyn to visit the Iron Sisters to request a weapon that will separate Jace and Sebastian. And she agrees. Magnus talks to Izzy privately about Alec meeting her, since he cannot comfort him about Jace like she can, as Jace is their brother.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yay, Magnus caring so much about Alec. Okay. Portal takes place, assuming that Jace will try to find her there, because again, she's planning on joining him and Sebastian. And her and Simon speak to each other through the rings before disconnecting. Simon goes to his and Jordan's place and finds a letter from Izzy asking him to meet her at Magnus's because she needs him.
Aww.
Simon goes to Magnus's apartment and comforts Izzy in the spare bedroom. She asks for a story, and he tells her the saga of Star Wars. He would.
Of course.
Jace finally comes back at dawn, comes to Luke's place at dawn, and Clary agrees to go with him. They kiss, and things kind of just fade to black.
It's kind of like she got passed out after he kissed, I think, something like that. He kind of made her go to sleep when he kissed. Anyway, so yeah. Part 2. It is now part 2, and part 2 is pretty long. Part 2, Certain Dark Things. Chapter 8, Fire Tests Gold. So on their way to the Praetor Lupus, Jordan decides to stop the truck and show Maya the sunrise from wherever he stops. And he tells her that he just can't be friends with her because he loves her and he's in love with her. Of course, Maya's overwhelmed. She kisses him, consenting basically to get back together. Aww. Clary wakes up in an unfamiliar room, and after checking around, still unsure of where she is, she checks out the bedrooms. She sees, a room that has like a whole bunch of clothes for her. And then she goes to Jace's room. She knows it's Jace's room because it's like super clean, and there's a picture of her and him together. It's kind of cute that even in his weird way, he still remembers her. Then she goes into Sebastian's room, where she finds a box with the initials JC on it, which was her mom's. And Sebastian catches her there as she's coming out of the room. Oops. In the early morning, Izzy, Jocelyn...
Sorry, just wait.
In the early morning, Izzy, Jocelyn, Alec, and Magnus portal to Staten Island to get to the door that leads them to Adamant Citadel, which is where the Iron Sisters are. Alec and Magnus are, of course, have to wait for them at the door while Izzy and Jocelyn enter. Back to where Clary is, she finds that they are in Venice, Italy. Sebastian explains that the place they're in is in the apartment they're in is Valentine's, and it moves in and out of worlds. Jace admits not knowing about that before. Whatever. Clary wants to know that what their plans are, but she has to prove first that she can be trusted. Sebastian says that he'll let her know in a week, but she has to stay in the apartment and not communicate with anybody else. Jace asks Sebastian if it's okay for her to be out if he's with her. The fact that he's asking is very interesting. Sebastian considers it and allows it. Sebastian allows it. So that's interesting. Izzy tries to get Jocelyn to reveal who her father cheated with, since Jocelyn knew about the affair that Robert Lightwood had. And Jocelyn tells her that it's not her place to tell. And by that time, they arrive at the gates of the Citadel. And it is your turn, Chapter 9.
Chapter 9 is called The Iron Sisters. So Alec goes to see Camille about her offer again to take away Magnus's immortality. And she only wants one favor from him first. Sorry, that was good timing. Shh. Kill Rafael Santiago. I don't know what he's barking at. So we meet the Iron Sisters, Cleophas and Dolores. Shh. And by we, I mean Isabel and Jocelyn. I'll be right back.
I will do this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chapter 9, Iron Sisters. Isabel and Jocelyn meet the sisters Cleophas and Dolores. And Dolores explains to them that the bond that Jace and Sebastian have is a twinning spell. I believe it's called twinning. And it can only be broken by a blade of heaven or of hell. A sword gifted by an angel can break the bond, but the sisters would never consent to doing that. And of course, at this point, Izzy gets mad at them, telling them that both Iron Sisters and Silent Brothers somehow get their compassion taken away from them once they get turned. So she leaves, waiting for Jocelyn outside. Jocelyn finally comes out and tells her that the Iron Sisters say Izzy would make a good Iron Sister. Jocelyn finally tells Izzy, upon her insistence, that the woman Robert had an affair with was Anna Marie Highsmith, whom Izzy is unfamiliar with. No, none of us are. Back to Clary. Jace offers to take her out on a date in Venice, Italy, where they are currently, and he mentions hating ducks. Although he doesn't know why. Wait.
Wait. No, they didn't mean that. There we go. That's what I meant.
And then here, at this point, we go back to the Prater house and we meet Prater Scott. Oh, I wonder who that could be. Jordan and Maya meet Prater Scott. They tell him about Luke and that he would be a good asset. Or Maya says that he would be a good asset for them since he's on the council, and as the lycanthrope representative, he would be like the voice for the Praetor. So Praetor Scott agrees to look into the books for a cure and tells them to get some rest before heading back. At Magnus's place, Simon wakes and puts the fairy ring on and speaks briefly with Clary to make sure she's okay. And then Jocelyn, Magnus, Alec, and Izzy talk about summoning an angel, but Magnus suggests summoning Azazel, which is a greater demon of weapons, he's a demon of weapons, greater demon. Izzy actually agrees to it, but Jocelyn obviously does not like this idea of summoning a demon. And so she tells him that she doesn't want to be around if they do it, and plans on leaving with Clary. But Simon tells her that Clary isn't there.
Clary already left, so, just don't worry about it.
She's not here.
Alright, chapter 10 is called The Wild Hunt. So, Jordan and Maya make out in the shower, dot, dot,
That's all
dot,
you need to know.
dot, dot, dot. At Magnus's, Simon explains about the rings, and Jocelyn is absolutely furious at him, until Izzy yells at her for blaming Simon and reminds Jocelyn of how she took Clary's memories away and how well that one turned out. So basically, don't tell Clary she can't do something because she'll do it anyway. On their lovely date, Jace notices Clary's fairy ring, which she says was Izzy's, and Izzy gave it to her. At the Prater house, Maya confesses that she has always loved Jordan. They make out again before being interacted and told to see Prater Scott. Maya says that they'll have time to continue their kissing and more, dot, dot, dot.
Yeah,
Prater
because they
Scott
have time. Because they have time for that stuff.
Yes. Prater Scott gives them a salve to apply to Luke's wound, which will take a few days to heal. Raphael calls Prater Scott and appears to them in a projection. He tells them Maureen, the new vampire that was under Nick's and who was Jordan's roommate in the Prater house, his care, has gone feral, killing at least 6 victims and injuring others. And of course, you remember Maureen as the person as the one that was obsessed with Simon. And then Simon bit her, and then somebody else turned her into a vampire. So she's now killed 6 victims and injured others. He urges the Praetor to find her and stop her, since it's their job to take care of fledgling Downworlders as well as werewolves. Or he and his vampires will take care of Maureen on their own.
Yeah,
Back on the lovely date, Jace shows Clary the Wild Hunt, which are fairies who hate the earthly courts and ride across the sky pursuing an eternal hunt. Then they kiss.
Aw. So weird.
Yeah.
Chapter 11.
I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it at that point.
Well, did you want to go ahead with Chapter 11 since I read 2 of yours?
Oh, should I?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Chapter 11, Ascribe All Sin. So Magnus summons the greater demon, who tells them that there is no way to break the bond between Jace and Sebastian, and there is no weapon that can kill Sebastian without killing Jace. However, he offers a suggestion that he won't tell until each of them give up one happy memory. They all agree to this, and they lose their memory immediately.
Which is really sad.
Azazel, what?
Which is really sad.
Yeah. So he tells them his alternate solution is to set him loose into the world, in which he will take Sebastian to hell, and that will eventually sever the bond. However, he will no longer be imprisoned, and he will be free. He reminds them that only heaven can sever the bond between Jace and Sebastian. Magnus says, go away, and sends him back. Jordan and Maya come in and tell them that Luke will be okay. Yay.
Yay.
Clary sleeps with Jace, and by that I mean literally sleeps with Jace. Uncomfortable to be alone. Yeah, sleeping with Jace. Because she's uncomfortable to be alone when Sebastian's roaming around.
Yes.
And by roaming around, I mean like right next door. So Simon sleeps with Isabel, even though he's starving, but she asks if he could stay with her again because she doesn't want to go to the Institute. So he agrees, even though like she's human and he drinks human blood and he's starving. And Alec goes back to see Camille again and tells her he cannot go through with the agreement. He finds out from her that Magnus was born in Batavia, in Indonesia, and Camille proceeds to give him her precious advice about love, which is just annoying.
I know.
Clary wakes from a night. What?
I know.
Yeah.
From Camille, really?
Clary wakes from a nightmare and finds Sebastian awake as she leaves the bedroom. She confronts him about the things that he has done, and he tells her that they were all accidents and he did not mean to kill Max or hurt Isabel, and that the real Sebastian wasn't supposed to fight back. And that he stabbed Luke because he was saving himself from being shot. She reluctantly decides to give him a chance to prove himself to her. Yeah, baloney. Baloney.
So, chapter 12, the stuff of heaven. Isabel's about to make out. When they're in the bed, Isabel's about to make out with Simon until she realizes he's hungry because his teeth just all of a sudden pop out. So she wants him to feed on her, and he's like, no, but then he does anyway. And Izzy actually likes it. Next morning, Clary notices. Next morning, Clary notices how Jace complies with Sebastian. Sebastian asks her to mark him with a strength rune, and she sees his scarred back, put upon by Valentine with a whip made of demon metal. Once all of them are ready and equipped, they head out the doorway to go somewhere where they're at in Prague. At the Institute, Brother Zachariah meets with Maris. She tells him, I know, I just put it's just too long. Brother Zachariah, like, Brother Z, Bro Z. Bros. Tells him that Jace has a trace on him that Valentine put on him. And she tells him that he appears for a few seconds each time in different cities throughout the world because she checks on the map, including Venice. So this map is accurate. Kind of reminds me of another map I know of from another series. Anyway, she asks why he came and not Brother Enoch. And he tells her that he has a special interest in Jace's well-being. He tells her that he will not divulge this information to the Clave just yet to keep Jace from being hunted and killed by the Clave. Because they would.
Brother Zachariah has a special interest in Jace's
well-being? Yeah, I know. What?
In Jace's Arendelle? What?
Which I should say she actually did correct Brother Z and said he's Jace Lightwood. He is my son. Which I thought, aw. Simon and Clary converse through the rings, updating each other on what's been happening, which basically is nothing so far. Sebastian, Jace, and Clary meet up, but then this happens. Sebastian, Jace, and Clary meet up with a Venice demon named Myrick, and they're there to obtain Adamas for the price of 100 pennies from dead men's eyes. Yeah. Myrick wants more now. He wants a lock of Clary's hair. Sebastian pulls out a seraph blade, and Clary is faced with a snake-like figure attacking her. Bah! And then at Magnus's, someone arrives in his apartment to speak to Team Good.
Alright, chapter 13. The Bone Chandelier. Sebastian, Jason, Clary fight Eliped demons, and Clary kills Myrick, allowing them to take the Adamas. Back at Magnus's, Azazel, the greater demon that they had brought in earlier, reappears in the pentagram, although even Magnus can't seem to get rid of him. Simon accidentally steps into the pentagram, trying to save Chairman Meow, and Azazel tries to attack him. However, that lovely mark he has throws Azazel And after realizing what Simon has, he leaves on his own. While Alec, Izzy, Jordan, and Maya are all cleaning out the apartment after he leaves, Simon suggests to Magnus that since he has the mark, maybe he'd be able to summon an angel without getting hurt. Because we know that angels, when angels are summoned, they often smite the person that summoned them.
Yeah, they're like, interesting.
Yes. Over in Prague, Sebastian takes Jason Clary to a nightclub called the Bone Chandelier. Meanwhile, Izzy talks to Simon about this plan, and Izzy finally agrees to allow him to go through with it, even though, she's not his girlfriend.
She just made that perfectly clear to him. She said, I'm not your girlfriend.
In the club, Clary and Jace are dancing and getting high on the silvery liquid that's in the air. Sebastian pulls Clary away for a moment and tells her that they are the same, but she denies this. Jace finds Clary and they dance some more before finding one of the dark alcoves to hide in. Sebastian meets with Meliorn in another dark alcove to discuss the Seelie Queen. He says that the Queen will stand by Sebastian when the end comes. Grr. And then there's one of the dark, sexy club scenes.
Dirty.
What?
Dirty, sexy club scenes.
Dirty. Oh, yeah, duh. Club scene until Clary imagines blood and dead bodies and death and kind of takes her out of it.
Kind of turns you off.
Yeah. She's just not one of those people. Totally. There we go.
Yeah. Okay, chapter 14. As Ashes. Clary wakes up, washes herself. She washes herself of that. But there's no blood. She washes herself of the silvery fairy drug, and realizes the fairy ring that she had is gone. She sees Sebastian.
Wait. It's gone. It's gone.
She sees Sebastian alone, leaving through a dark doorway, and she decides to follow him through said doorway. Over at Luke's, or at the police station, Luke finally wakes up. Jocelyn tells him that, Jocelyn tells him that she always loved him, even though she didn't realize it before. And Luke also tells her that Clary believes there are things worth dying for, just as Jocelyn believes. Aww. Clary follows Sebastian and realizes they're in Paris now. She then overhears demons talking about, or she follows him, but he goes into another room, and then there's demons out the door, and they're talking about Sebastian and Jace, and they hear her. And so she runs. Of course, she has to battle them to get back to her apartment. But just about when one of them is about to strike her, Sebastian somehow appears and attacks demons. But one of them does strike her arm with poison, and she blacks out again. She blacks out a lot, just so you know.
Unconscious a lot in this book.
Yeah, seems like it.
Alright, chapter 15 is called Magdalena. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Who knows? Clary wakes up with her head on Sebastian's lap. How cute. And they're at Luxembourg Gardens. He tries to explain to her that he wants to eradicate the demons, and he wants to prove it to her. Meanwhile, Simon receives a text from Maya saying that Luke is okay. Yay. And he relays that message. He relays the message to the team and then suggests to go to Luke's farm for the summoning. Magnus agrees, but they need a few hours sleep first. Meanwhile, Sebastian brings Clary to a cafe in Paris, and they talk about their family, Valentine, Jocelyn, and he says that Clary got her red hair from the Fairchild line. Yay. While he got his looks from the Morgenstern line. Boo.
They're not bad looks. I mean, they are good-looking guys. I just don't know about.
Have you ever met one in person? Huh? Have you?
Whatever. Go ahead.
He introduces her to Sister Magdalena, an Iron Sister, though she is a disgraced Iron Sister because she helped arm the Circle and fled before she could be discovered. So, basically, she's not a good Iron Sister. Sebastian gives her the Adamas and says that he will be back that night to collect what she agreed to make for him.
Chapter 16, Brothers and Sisters. So Sebastian and Clary arrive back at the apartment and find Jace in the training room of the apartment. And there he tells her, he tells Clary that he has Sister Magdalena making a second mortal cup, which is what the Adamas is for. And his plan is to lure greater demons to them, giving them the idea that Sebastian will give them the cup, put their blood in it, but then they will kill the demons. I might be going overboard. Simon tries to contact Clary, but there is no answer. And then Rebecca's. I should put in this is a new character introduction. We finally meet Rebecca, Simon's other sister. She comes to meet him and tells him how their mom has all this crap, this religious stuff all over the house, and that they need to get her on meds because she's apparently gone crazy. And Simon has to show her that he's actually a vampire. And although she freaks out a little bit, she still wants to see him because she says that she loves him no matter what. He is still her brother. Aww. And they hug. Jace in the apartment, Jace starts kissing Clary and wants to do more, but Clary stops him, saying that she doesn't feel like it. And Jace has to go take a cold shower. At Jordan's apartment, Maya goes back and tells him that Luke said Magnus could use the farm. Then they kiss, wanting to talk about nothing else. It's a lot of kissing around here. Later on, Jace comes out of the shower and he does apologize to Clary, and she asks him to read for her so she could sleep. He picks up a book called A Tale of Two Cities. And this particular book has a personal inscription by a William Herondale written opposite the front page.
Because he's like, oh, you're so excited. Will Herondale!
Okay, your turn.
Chapter 17. Valediction. Magnus drives the truck while Simon, Alec, and Izzy ride along. Alec explains that his mother is accepting that he's gay, but his father, not so much. There is a small revelation. Magnus has a stash of comics, and at least some of them are Spider-Man. Izzy says that she wants to help, but Alex explains that it's not like a stab wound you can protect me from. It's a million little paper cuts every day. That hurts.
That's a sad moment. I like that. I love it.
Clary wakes up to find Jace and Sebastian talking to each other just outside her door. Jace has the cup, and Sebastian tells him to hold it since he did the work of getting it. Although Jace a more harsh than usual.
Sorry, Jace is a little more harsh than usual.
Okay, Jace is a little bit more harsh than usual. When she pretends to have just woken up, Jace is kneeling at the side of the bed, and she sees that it's actually, like, the real Jace. He tells her to sneak to his room a few moments after he leaves. When she gets there, he sees that his clothes are actually soaked in blood. He takes off his shirt, and she sees that something has scarred the rune, basically the binding rune, between him and Sebastian, the one that Lilith made. He tells her that he will only be himself until the scar has healed, but then will return to being the other Jace once it is healed. When she goes up there, they hug, and Jace cries. Clary comforts him and tells him that it's not his fault, and then, of course, they start kissing. But before it goes too much further, he stops them because he's jealous of her being with the other Jace, since he remembers everything that the other Jace does or doesn't do. He doesn't want the other Jace to come back if they're in the middle of something intimate. Fair. Jace asks about how his family is, and we find that Jace killed Magdalena after she gave him the cup, but she was able to sear the rune before she died, which is why he's himself again right now. He tells her that Sebastian is still the same Sebastian and he hasn't changed, even though the other Jace kept saying he did. Sebastian wants to raise Lilith and mix her blood with his in the cup to create a dark Nephilim army. Jace tells Clary that he has to go to the Silent City and turn himself in and the cup in before he's back to being the other Jace.
Now all is revealed. Part 3, all is changed. Chapter 18, Raziel. So, Simon tries to call Clary again to no avail before he starts beginning the summoning. Meanwhile, Clary does, can't talk all of a sudden. Meanwhile, Clary refuses to let Jace go to the Silent City. So, what does she do? She calls out for Sebastian. And when he comes, she tells him that the rune needs to be fixed because Jace was about to leave and turn himself in. Before Sebastian fixes a rune, though, Jace tells him that he still hates him. Then he tells Clary that it was the other Jace's idea, or basically his idea, basically Jace's idea, to raise Lilith, to make the new cup, and to create a dark army. All of a sudden, the other Jace is back. Jace asks if it's time, and Sebastian says yes, gives him the cup, and tells him to go on, and they will meet him there. And so Jace goes. Sebastian now all of a sudden trusts Clary to be there at the 7th sacred site to witness this plan fulfilled. Simon does succeed in summoning Raziel. Raziel will help, though, in exchange for Simon's mark, obviously, because Simon is not supposed to have that. And Simon decides to go ahead with that plan. And Raziel brings Archangel Michael's sword, Glorious, which can be used to sever the bond between Sebastian and Jace. And now Simon no longer has the mark. Wow.
Chapter 19 is called Love and Blood. So Sebastian is now in red gear. Red, which means, this comes with what we were talking about earlier, call enchantment down, and offers Clary something red to wear as well. And the thing that he offers her actually belonged to Jocelyn, and this would be for the ceremony. You know, the, like, evil ceremony. While searching Jace's room for a stele, Clary was searching Jace's room for a stele, and then goes to Sebastian's room and finds her fairy ring. The one that she had all of a sudden been missing. Clary contacts Simon again after a while and tells him about Sebastian's plans, and he tells her about the sword, Glorious. Sebastian catches Clary in his room again and knows about the ring as well. She takes it and smashes it, then punches him and takes his stele, running away. Team Good formulate a plan, and Sebastian and Clary have a big fight, and Clary stabs him with broken glass.
Chapter 20. A door into the dark. Somebody really likes their toy. Of course, Clary is unable to kill him. She knows that killing him would mean killing Jace, so she doesn't. And so they stop fighting for now. But he does threaten her to get cleaned up and ready for the ceremony, or else he'll do it himself. When they leave the apartment is destroyed because Clary had actually drawn a rune that she created, and it's a rune that whoever leaves the apartment, the last one to leave, the apartment gets destroyed somehow. So she destroyed the apartment, and they can't go back. At Jordan's, Jordan gets a call from the Praetor, and he finds out that Nick, the one who is watching over Maureen, is dead. Probably killed by Maureen, because his throat was ripped out.
Pleasant things like that.
Yeah. Maya gets a text from Luke, a call to battle, basically. Alec and Isabel go to the Institute, and Maris is there talking with Aileen and Helen, and Izzy notices them wearing each other's family rings. Pretty big business there, pretty serious there. They explain everything to Maris, and now she knows that she has to inform the Clave, knowing that it could mean Jace's death because they told her. So she's like, oh, why do you tell me not to tell them? But if they don't, they could lose everything, so she has to. At the Seventh Sacred Site, or the Burren, Clary tries to talk to other Jace, while Sebastian summons Lilith. Lilith comes in this weird form and cuts her arm with her teeth and pours her blood into the cup. Ew. At this point, they bring out Amethyst Herondale, who was apparently missing. That's why Aileen and Helen were there. And they were explaining that to Maris that Amethyst was missing. Your turn.
Chapter 21 is called Raising Hell. So, Amethyst is there. Sebastian forces her to drink from the cup. Clary sees Amethyst's voyance rune fade, and then she's released, and then kneels before Sebastian, calling him master. By the time... What? Yeah. By the time almost all the Shadowhunters there have drunk from the cup, Team Good, along with a pack of werewolves and the good Shadowhunters, show up. Yay! There's a huge battle scene that shows up from there. Magnus is stabbed by the now evil Amethyst. Clary gets a hold of Glorious and runs it through... Well, okay, so Clary gets a hold of Glorious and is trying to make her way to Sebastian, but Sebastian is, of course, far away and protected by all of his evil people. So, not being able to get to Sebastian, she's like, well, if I stab Jace, then it'll hurt Sebastian too, and I think there's enough good in Jace that it won't kill him. It'll only kill Sebastian. So, she stabs Jace in the heart, which does sever the bond between him and Sebastian. And with the sword still embedded in him, Jace's body burns, and then the sword dissolves, and Jace collapses. He survives, but barely.
Oh, man. Craziness. So I'm gonna, we'll only have, actually, we're pretty much close to being on time. Epilogue.
Almost,
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, better than last week or 2 weeks ago. Epilogue. So this is what happens afterwards. Jace and Alec and Izzy are at the Institute Infirmary where Jace wakes up. And Alec and Jace realize that they feel that connection again that they had felt was missing between them before when Jace was not Jace. And Jace had been unconscious for 2 days in the infirmary. The funny thing is that Jace is still glowing a little bit from the sword. Who knew? Basically, Jace, Alec, and Izzy, they're connected again, and they realize how much they love each other, and Jace wants to go to sleep, but he says, will you stay here? And of course, both of them say yes. And Izzy even cries a little bit at that point. They're holding hands. It is a very good moment. But unfortunately, Clary is told that she cannot see him, even though it's now been 3 days. And this is due to the Silent Brothers, apparently, telling her that she can't see him. And so she has to wait. Meanwhile, Magnus catches Alec on his way to see Camille again, because she's the only one who would talk to him about Magnus's past.
Because she's the only one that knows anything about Magnus's past.
I know. Magnus confesses that he was thinking about making himself mortal to spend the rest of his life with Alec, but then breaks up with him instead. Alec, even though Alec had said that he had changed his mind. Exactly. Alec did say, he changed his mind, and he didn't want to do that, but Magnus said, it's too late. You didn't tell me. You went to her. All this stuff. And so Magnus said, I expect your stuff to be gone out of my apartment. Alec at this point drops his witch light, and Magnus picks it up. Interesting enough, the witch light shines and flickers with a strange light in Magnus's hand. Oh boy. And Alec's like, give me a second chance. They kiss, but Magnus still tells him it's over. So Magnus and Alec have broken up. At the Institute, Izzy tells Clary, because Clary's there, that Aline and Helen prevented them all from getting into trouble with the Clave because they didn't want Jace getting killed by them. So I guess they said that they didn't have time to inform the Clave and stuff, so they battled it on their own. They were able to kill most of the Dark Nephilim, woohoo! But Sebastian did escape, of course. And then it is found out that Robert Lightwood is back for good. Is no longer in a position for Inquisitor. Clary does tell Izzy that she does need to tell Simon how she feels, because Simon will give up if he doesn't know, especially after she said, I'm not your girlfriend. And then when they finally get to the floor that Jace is on, Clary is stopped by Brother Z on her way to see Jace. Clary asks Brother Zachariah, if he's ever loved anyone and if he would ever die for anyone. And of course he tells her, and he tells her that there were 2.
Okay, can I just say, I haven't actually read this since,
oh, really?
Because I read this, because I read all of the Mortal Instruments and then the Infernal Devices. So this means so much more to me now.
So yeah.
Oh my God.
And he tells her that there were two that he loved, and he would die for them. Clary then pleads with Brother Zachariah to see Jace. At this point, Alec continues on to see Camille because he wants to kill her now, because she told Magnus what Alec was doing. But when he goes over there, he finds her already dead. There's all blood everywhere, and there's Maureen. Little 13-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever, Maureen, telling him that she killed Camille and laughing about it. Clary and Jace, or Clary does finally see Jace, and they talk. And Jace explains that he has a heavenly fire in him. That the sword that was used to stab him did not disintegrate, but it went back to the Archangel Michael. But yes, Jace has heavenly fire in him. And the Silent Brothers don't know how long it will be in him. Brother Zachariah got burned by touching Jace's hand. And he didn't want to see Clary because he's afraid of burning her, though the Silent Brothers are working on how he might control it or get rid of it. Jason tells Clary that they are absolutely better together, despite what Jocelyn thinks, and that they can only kiss for the time being and nothing else. Don't want to, make Jace explode. Elsewhere, Maris calls Brother Enoch and Brother Zachariah, and she shows them what was left in her office. It's on the floor. And what it is torn angel wings, slick with angel ichor, and a note from Sebastian with one word, Erkomai. I am coming. That is the end of City of Lost Souls.
So, the next time we chat, we will probably have read City of Heavenly Fire. Yeah. But and we didn't go too far over time today, so that's awesome.
Yes.
And again, leave comments, chat with us, contact us. Yeah. We love you, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.